So I just was forgotten to record those first 10 minutes something. So these are the metrics that you require to consider. So when we say metrics, metrics is the benchmark. Metric is something which actually defines or which actually gives you the direction to achieve a quality. For example, when we say user friendliness is one metric. Okay, but what exactly mean by the user friendliness? When user find it easy to operate, okay, any instrument, then you can say that instrument is user friendly, and software is a one type of instrument. It is a product, it is a vehicle, it is an instrument. And the when the user find it difficult to handle your software, to work with your software, then you can say that user friendliness matrix is not satisfied by your software, and then you can say your software is not the quality software. So when we say quality management, when we say this quality management, actually I'm not saying software quality management. I'm simply saying the quality management here. When we say quality management is actually process to find out whether the given product software is a product. Okay, so whether given product satisfies all mandatory metrics or not. I will already discuss that mandatory metrics are those metrics which actually defines the quality of a product. Okay, there are some metrics which are non-mandatory, means suppose what we can say customization, customization of a software. Sometimes it is not required. For example, right now we are using this, and whatever user interface is available there, just changing the color of this user interface is not going to make some addition into the quality of the software. So those metrics which are simply not adding anything into the performance of your software, okay, those metrics which are actually not adding anything into the performance of your software are generally considered as a non mandatory metric. So even this Foxy Trader right now which I'm using, if they won't make give me any what can say option to change the color of user interface, now they have given, if even they won't give me those options, it makes no difference in the software performance. So those are the non-mandatory metrics. So you can have only one user interface which is quite what can say which is giving the performance. So if it satisfies the aesthetic and likewise, and that's why when it goes into the metrics of the quality, the aesthetic is considered at last, but it is not something that you have to ignore. You should have to complete that, but you won't require to complete it 100%. Means manageable aesthetic is sufficient. For example, let's say suppose you want to go to something somewhere, and you don't have sufficient time, then simply combing your hair is sufficient. Yes, if you have sufficient time, then you can go for the makeup. Yeah, so that is what we call say aesthetic, or the looks are generally called as a non-mandatory matrix. Okay, for example, say suppose if I wear a suit, boot, coat, tie, something like that, or those English lady suit, something, if girl is there and she go to the corporate world, okay, and likewise, does that add anything into your intelligence? No. Take the example of Sudha Murthy, okay, the chairperson of the Infosys Foundation. Take the example of Narayan Murthy, the director of Infosys. Take the example of late Steve Jobs, okay, the what we can say the starter of this Apple and thing, pioneer in the digital thing. Have they ever given too much ado to their aesthetic or looks? No. Why? Because that is not mandatory. In the same way, in a software, it is not mandatory how to have very good look, because your software is looking very good, okay, but performing very bad. No one is going to buy it. So the aesthetic of a software is called as a non-mandatory matrix. Okay, so if you satisfy aesthetic matrix 51%, anything is considered as satisfying that particular matrix if it is above 50%. Okay, 50-50 satisfaction is not considered as a satisfaction. It is a null point, 0 point. Okay, and if it is below 50 means you are not satisfying that particular matrix. So if you are satisfying this above 50%, you can say okay, my software looks good, and user can understand where which button is where and which button is required to click. There is no clata or something like that. Then you can say okay, this is satisfied. So you don't require to give then the user some options to make the change the color, and likewise nowadays they are giving this because they consider that is user. Just consider that is, you go to the car shop, and if they give you and you want to buy the Mercedes, what matters most? What is the color of car, or what is the performance of car? Obviously the performance. So if it have the eye soothing color, and if it is white or if it is black or if it is blue, matter nothing. Okay, what matter is the performance of your product. So software is a product, and all the performance matrices of the software or the products are the mandatory matrices. Then comes the non-mandatory matrices. So that is what we learn as a principle in the software metrics and quality management. So quality management is simple process which actually divide these two metrics. One the mandatory or the performance metrics, and another is a non-mandatory or what we call as the aesthetic metrics. And then stringently check whether you completed the quality metrics or not. So once the quality metrics are checked, then we go for the thing. So just we already learned about the one thing, and that is what we call as a framework for the product metrics. Okay, uh, attendance is really poor today, 38 people only. So I expect for the last lecture on the SCPM, 100% attendance. Just for, I don't say that it's a expectation required to be get fulfilled, but that is my expectation. I think I deserve that. So I a framework for the product metrics. So generally, what happens when you create a product? Okay, the product may be similar. For example, let's go with the soap. Okay, if you creating a bath soap, so and you are on the different company. So one is creating Rexona, one is creating Sandal soap, one is creating this soap, and one is creating that soap. But all those soap have common quality metrics. Okay, your soap must not have to give rashes to your skin, so they must have this smooth oil. Everything is required to be there. So what you get a framework means if you have a certain type of product, for that particular type of product you always have particular type of performance metrics. So the framework for a product metrics, these are generally different designed and defined by the different expertise after use of that particular product, and through the framework we actually learn ISO frameworks and other frameworks. If you go through the presentation slides, you will find those frameworks there for the product matrix or a software matrix. Wherever there is written as a product, you can read it as a software. Wherever there is written as a software, you can read it as a product, because software is a product. Okay, and so all the product matrices are applicable to the software. Now then we go for the software metrics for software analysis and design, or metrics for analysis and design models. So whenever you go you want to create some models, if you go on creating a very large big model, generally what happens, you just the sheer size of that model create the more complexity, and the complex models are generally prone to fail. So the metrics for analysis and design models says that you should have to create smaller models or achievable models. मतलब मराठीत म्हटलं तर पचतं पचतं खाल्लेलं चांगलं असतं. म्हणजे समजा मला एक पपई खूप आवडते. इफ आय लाईक पपाया, okay, and if I eat the tons of papaya at once, okay, then it's going to kill me. Huh? तुम्हाला एखादी गोष्ट खूप आवडते, कन्सिडर जस्ट someone of you like the to go to the gyms and likewise, and so they are fond of with taking some supplements, food supplements. अब उन्होंने सोचा कि यार ये फूड सप्लीमेंट खाने से अच्छी बॉडी बन रही है, तो मैं एक डिब्बा एक एक दिन में खा लेता हूँ, क्या हो जाएगा? प्रोटीन इज द वन थिंग विच इज़ वेरी हार्ड टू डाइजेस्ट। सो एक डिब्बा अगर वो आदमी एक ही दिन में खा लेगा तो ही विल गेट द डायरिया, and maybe he may get the ruptures in his colon, आतडे फाटून जातील, and he will die. Okay, so simple thing is that, so metrics for analysis and design models say that is whatever model is there, you should have to divide things into the undividable parts. The undividable part is called as unit. Then you have to divide it in composite undividable things, which is called as the, which can be called as what you can say subsystem. For example, right now you are seeing this framework, this user interface of Foxit reader. So here you are having the undividable part, that is a file. So in this file you are having these options. Okay, file menu. Here you are having the home. In home you are having all these options given. Here you are having the comment section. In comment section they are having all these options given, and likewise here you are having these. So what these are the different subsystems, and this subsystem: file, home, comment, file and sign, fill and sign, view, form, protect, share, contact, help, and likewise they together actually forms the entire system of the Foxit reader. And here you are having is workspace, where you are actually getting this document displayed. So this is what we can say. So you have to model each thing in its parts, and then you have to model the integration of those parts, and that is what the metric for soft product analysis and likewise. So that is what we say analysis and design model. Then we also go for the metrics for source code. So this is simple metrics. Whenever you go on learning any coding language, computer language, the first metric is always the nomenclature. What this is that always give meaningful name to your variables. Then second metric is that always comment your code so that even if someone in absence of you go through your code can be able to learn that code, and that is what we call as a software or source code matrix that you require to follow. Some metrics, okay, there many programmers, those programmers who don't actually respect the software engineering principle and philosophy, they won't follow this source code metrics, and then after few months if they go through their own code, आपको अगर एक्सपेरिमेंट करना है तो आप एक काम कर लीजिए, एक बहुत इंटेलिजेंट कोड लिख लीजिए अभी राइट नाउ इन एनी लैंग्वेज दैट यू नो वेरी वेल, इवन पाइथन, जावा, विच एवर लैंग्वेज यू आर, और देन जस्ट लीव दैट कोड अनअटेंडेड फॉर द नेक्स्ट 6 मंथ, और 6 महीने के बाद उस कोड को ओपन करके समझने की कोशिश कीजिए. इफ यू डोंट हैव एनी कमेंट एंटर्ड इनटू दैट कोड, if you don't have given any meaningful name to the variables, you will find that code is completely unreadable and non-understandable. And that is why the actual software engineers, I'm saying the real software engineers, have this habit of adding comments at a right place in the code. They have this right habit of giving the proper names to each and every variable, and likewise, and that is what we call as a matrix for the source code that you should have to follow. Then metrics for testing is there, metrics for maintenance is there, metrics for other things, whatever with metrics are with the software products are there, those metrics are available. We have seen those metrics also. Then software project management, we have seen the complete people spectrum. In an overview, what is software measurement, there we have seen the LOC line of code, then we have gone through the function point, then we have gone through the object oriented software metrics and the management, and we learn how those things are done. And we also found that is why this LOC can't be considered right now as a software measurement matrix, and likewise function point and class or unit points are there. Then we also have gone through all the metrics for software quality. Actually, if you go remove the software and you add there the product, the metrics are also applicable to any product quality. So we also learn about software project estimation techniques, which are based again once again on line of code, and the function points. Okay, now what is line of code, what is function point? You know that is, if you want to write a simple code to print a line using assembly language, you require almost 14 lines. If you want to do the same thing using C, you require 3 to 4 lines. And if you want to do using same thing with the Python, you require one line. Now if I say that per line you are going to get 10 paisa or 1 rupee, which language you will choose? Obviously you will choose the assembly language, because 14 lines you are going to get the 14 rupees. पाइथन तो आप चूज करोगे नहीं, क्योंकि ये वन लाइन में काम हो जा रहा है तो एक ही रुपए मिलेगा. And that's why that LOC is not considered as the proper method for the software estimation. Okay, then comes the another function point estimation. So आपने एक मेन प्रोग्राम लिख दिया और मेन प्रोग्राम में 10 फंक्शन प्रोग्राम है, 10 macros है, and for each macro you are going to get 10 rupees, for each function you are going to get the 10 rupees, and based on that function point, but you don't know actually what is the logic and what is the complexity of algorithm in each function. So that's why it is also considered as a non what you can say compliable metric. So function point के function point metrics are also not considered good for software estimation. Then come the class point or class metrics or unit metrics, which are object oriented, where class is considered or object is considered as the one unit of that particular software, and we also go in doing what we software thing. So combiningly, these different matrices and different quality measurement estimation techniques are used for software project estimation. There are two type of estimation. One is called as a cost estimation in terms of money, and another is the cost estimation in terms of time. Okay, and time is money. So that estimation techniques are used. Then we have the project scheduling. You require to schedule the project. For project scheduling, you require to use the PERT and CPM. That actually the part of sixth unit in your syllabus, but that introductory part of the project scheduling is considered in the fifth unit itself in the quality management, because scheduling and sticking to the scheduling in using the agile process is very important in the class modules and something. Then whenever we go for a design and development of anything. Okay, so whenever we go for design and development of anything, what happens exactly? We always get this one thing free of cost: risk. As soon as we born, there is a risk of death. Okay, only unborn can't die. Yes, so who is born, anyone who is born is going to die. This is a simple thing, and there is a risk of death at every moment. That is what is a risk. Risk means what? Life. Simple thing. Risk means life. If there is no risk, there is no life. So whatever product you are actually developing, that product development process itself have certain risk embedded in it. Okay, product itself has some risk embedded in everything is there. So there are two types of risks. One, that are non-manageable, you can't manage them, you can't avoid them. Those risks are there, and then manageable risks. So obviously it is a risk management means the manageable risk. For example, let's say suppose you want to score 80%, or say suppose you simply want to score. So what is the risk when you appear for the exam? A risk of failure. How you can manage the risk of failure? By studying. Now how you can do that study? से सपोज मुझे कल पेपर देना है, मैंने आज पूरा 12 घंटे पढ़ लिया, पूरा रट्टा मार लिया, पूरा मेमोराइज एवरीथिंग, but continues for 12 hours. So what will happen? Next day I will get sleepy, and many times what happens at time of paper, because you get sleepy, because you are not now in a proper health of your proper resonance of your health, you will find it's very difficult to give the answers. सीधी सी बात है यार, आप अगर जिम में जाते हो और एक वक्त में ही मतलब एक ही दिन में सारा व्यायाम कर लोगे, सारी एक्सरसाइज से सपोज फॉर continue 12 hours you exercise in a gym because tomorrow you are having some match. What will happen tomorrow? You will not find enough what you can say energy in you to raise your single finger. The same thing happens in a study. नहीं अभी some बंदा say suppose some student is there and that student is studying daily only for 1 hour. Okay, only for 1 hour, whether he like that subject or not, no matter, but studies for, and this 1 hour accumulation exercise daily, after 6 months you will become what you can say a very good you will get a very good physics. So 1 hour study daily you will get a very good intelligence or knowledge of that particular subject, and what will happen, the failure risk of failure get automatically managed. So the basic principle of risk management is planning and execution. So when you plan correctly and when you stick to execute that particular plan, many risks which are manageable get managed, and that we have learned in the risk management. Once you manage those risks, we also already have learned following the metrics, so quality management get achieved. Change management, change is the one type of risk. So if you go with the risk management and if you add the flexibility in your plan, okay, then you can go for the change management. And then comes the software re-engineering. Before going for the software re-engineering, I will just like to talk on change management some. What is change management? December 2019, Wuhan have given the first what you can say alarm of COVID-19. WHO, that is a World Health Organization, have given what you can say declare that as a pandemic after 2 3 months something. And in March 2020, India declared the lockdown due to the COVID, and situation got what you can say change 180 degree drastically. 360 डिग्री मतलब उसी पॉइंट पे आ गए, 180 डिग्री मतलब पॉजिटिव से निगेटिव हो गए. So we got the complete change. Right now you are facing that, I am facing that change. Okay, you are at your home, I am here in a college, we are dealing online, and literally I am missing your sounds and what we call say I am literally missing all of you. या कभी कभी वो बोलते हैं ना स्टूडेंट्स की शैतानियाँ भी अच्छी लगती है, just like that. So simple thing is that we are actually missing something, but this change we are managing it in a different way. And day before yesterday, Russia said their vaccine is almost ready, and they are going to use that vaccine for the uh, people. And the change management come. The Pope said that is who is going to get vaccine first, because this change is now required to prioritize the what you can say the beneficiary of these vaccines. Obviously doctors, these nurses, people who are risking their life to save others life must have to get it first. Then people who are not having sufficient money, okay, money can buy anything they what they can say these services, but who are not having sufficient money, they require to get these things. So all the systems, whether they are political system, non-political system, something, they all are working on the one thing right now, and that is what you can say managing this change. Okay, and that is what we call as the change management. So change management is simple. Right now we are having the all softwares, and softwares are used for this change management. And then we are going for the software re-engineering. Sometimes what happens, we are having the softwares which were developed for the prior hardware. Let's say suppose for 32-bit architecture, and so software is very so designed in a very good manner, and so it is very popular. And now the hardware is changing rapidly, so 64 bit 64 bit 64 bit, and consider that this 32 bit software architecture is no longer supported, and so you require to shift this software from 32 bit architecture to 64 bit, and the language that was used to design this software was, say, suppose assembly language or a C language, but now the people want the same software design and develop in Python. Okay, then you require to re-engineer the entire software. So generally software re-engineering is used when you want to shift from legacy software to advanced one, and to want to change that legacy software into the advanced software, and that's why this software re-engineering is used there. And likewise, so cost estimation models, we have once again have gone through that. LOC, function point, object oriented, and likewise, so there where we are having this cost estimation model. So these things we actually discuss in the uh, unit number 4, unit number 5, software metrics and software quality management. Then the last unit of the software engineering and project management is trends in software engineering and project management. Only 3 hours are assigned to this, and we say this. So we are having these 8 plus 6 14 and 3 17 hours for the 4 5, then 17 hours there, and here you are having 25 hours. So 25 plus 17, that is what can say, we are having 25, 35, 9 and 17. So 35, 9 and 7 is 16, and it's around something like this. So with revision we completed around 43 hours of the software engineering and project management. So this is one thing. Now management is here the PERT and CPM. PERT, that is project evaluation techniques that we have seen, and CPM is the critical path method that we are seeing, project evaluation review techniques and PERT. They are developed in 1950s, early and late 1950s. PERT was developed in early 1950s. CPM was developed in late 1950s, and we have seen that they are the project networks, and they can be used to identify the parallel activities that can be carried out in a project, and you can use that to what you can say, optimize or minimize the time and to get maximum benefit through it. So you have gone through the details of PERT and CPM through using some problems also, and I also uploaded the notes for that on the Google Classroom for you. Then we also use PERT CPM, and then we discuss in general the recent trends in software engineering and project management topics and its application. So what are the recent trends in software engineering and project management? Generally, whenever we are having the recent trends in any technology, that actually causes some shift in a type of what you can say jobs we are doing, or in a type of our lifestyle. And so because they disturb the entire lifestyle, certainly these technologies are called as a disruptive technologies. And these technologies are advanced technologies of software engineering are disruptive, and there are two type of disruption. One is called as inclusive disruption, another is called as exclusive disruption. Exclusive disruption is based on the exclusion, means is actually cut down your jobs. For example, let's say suppose if you get an a software AI, artificially intelligent software for automation of a car or a vehicle, and the vehicle is driving itself, no driver is required. So one driver is jobless. A driver means his wife and his children. Okay, on his mother and father. If you go with the things, one driver means almost 5 to 6 people goes. What you can say hungry. So one means five here. So if you go with, if you are having a 1 crore driver in India, you are actually making 5 crore people, that is 1 crore families. So one person means one family here. So many times some technology advancement are causing this disruption and creating less job, and what you can say, killing the more jobs. Such type of technology advancement is called as a exclusive disruptive technologies. And right now the recent software engineering trend is of this type, means almost everything is going for the automation, and that's why many of us, even the engineers, are starting to lose their jobs. I'm literally afraid of the new trend in the software engineering, because if we go with the Alexa, Siri, and like something, maybe in next 5 years you will find no human teacher giving you any knowledge about any subject. No human teacher, means people like me will go jobless, obviously, because to get a knowledge you hardly will require any human teacher, at least for what you can say, higher education. Primary education, there is no replacement for the human teacher, because in a primary education you require just not the education, but much of affection, love. हमारी जो बोली थी और हमारे टीचर जो बोलता था, वो फाइनल वर्ड रहता अपने लिए, माई टीचर सेड दिस, माई मिस सेड दिस, लाइक दैट, है ना। जैसे जैसे हम बड़े होते जाते हैं, वी रिक्वायर व्हाट यू कैन से, वी बिकम लेस डिपेंडेंस ऑन आवर टीचर और ऑन आवर एल्डर्स, क्योंकि हम अब खुद से सोच सकते हैं, खुद से नॉलेज कलेक्ट कर सकते हैं, खुद से प्राइमरी से, आई एम सीइंग प्राइमरी टीचिंग, आई एम सीइंग फ्रॉम आपका टीनेज कंप्लीट होने तक, मतलब जब तक आप ग्रेजुएशन को रहे, सो ट्वेल्थ तक, दैट इज ट्वेल्थ स्टैंडर्ड तक, यू मे रिक्वायर some human teachers, but then as you go upward for the higher education, you may not require this. Artificial intelligence is already working in that direction, so that disruption may going to happen. And then the student or the person who want to learn can learn those things directly from the machines. Okay, so Alexa can give the lecture on SCPM. Alexa, okay, today cover the PERT and CPM, and she will cover PERT and CPM. Or that Google lady, okay, to teach you the geography, she already teaching us the geography, turn left, turn right after 100 meter, 100 after 200 meter, and likewise. So this is machine learning, automation, artificial intelligence, data science. You are collecting so much data, and by just by analyzing that data you can find out the behavior of particular person. For example, let's say suppose the internet collect all your data. Whenever you go to the internet, it collects all your data, मीन्स योर बियर पैटर्न, मतलब आपने सुबह लॉग इन किया है सिस्टम में, एंड दैट यू आर यूजिंग अमेजॉन, यू सर्च फॉर अ सर्टन प्रोडक्ट, देन यू गो टू द यूट्यूब, you saw certain pictures, then you go to the novel area, you downloaded certain type of books, then you go to the this and that and that and that sites, everything is recorded in CAMS, Control and Monitoring System of Government of India, or your ISP, and likewise. Everything is recorded. Everything is recorded is there, and based on that, they can, if they collect such data for the next 1 year, they can identify your next move. So that is what is happening right now in a machine learning, because they know that is what exactly you are going to search at what time and how. So how it comes to know. So that is what a recent trend, which is quite exclusive in nature, because it's actually killing many jobs. It's actually going to kill many jobs, and that is what happening in thing. For example, this online teaching section is there. Right now we are having this Webex like something, but consider that Webex found this online teaching is there, and they created such artificial teacher, a software program. What now, right now, what we call it as a chat bot. Okay, that is the initial phase of such type of thing. If we create this very intelligent chatbot which can analyze things and can give the examples and write examples, we call it lot of examples and some things to the students, and student can learn on their own. This is a very good thing. This is actually happening. So it's not something I'm telling you some very innovative idea. This already happened in Japan. Many editors, many research papers, things. Plagiarism checking is now done by these softwares and everything. Once upon a time, that was used to be done by some well read and well known researchers worldwide, but now it is not practiced by them. So simply speaking, the recent trends in software engineering and project management are almost AI inspired. They are automation inspired. They are using heavily the machine learning. They are using heavily the artificial intelligence. They are using all those things, and that's why what happening. Many of the softwares nowadays are becoming lightweight in terms of what you can say the user. So they actually started observing the user. This is what I call as an intrinsic human computer interaction, where the computer or the machine actually observe the entire behavior of the user and based on that respond to that user in a way. So trend is going to the in that direction. Another trend is that when it comes to teaching the medical sciences and something, the medical sciences requires many times the cops. Okay, so the when for teaching a human anatomy or anatomy of any other animal, and 3D modeling, augmented reality, virtual reality, these things can be used to teach many anatomical intricacies to the people, to the students. Right now, it's not that advanced, but maybe within next few years, you will find that these things are going to happen. Software engineering and project management trends are there, which are now shifting the software development something. So whatever we learn about the software metrics, many of those metrics are fundamental metrics are still applicable, but some of the metrics are really only have the historical meaning now, or many principles in software engineering only have the historical meaning, like your function point something, LOC matrix or size matrix or measurement matrix. So the software recent trends in software engineering are changing very rapidly. The speed is so tremendous and so rapid that is many times it shifts from the closed development to the open development. GIT Hub is the very we can say the best example for that. Means you have one project idea, you can create that project idea by using your own intelligence and something, and then keep this project idea as a free open source on the GIT Hub. People will learn your project idea, and if they found it fascinating, they can add their own project ideas into it, and when they add their project ideas or you can say their add-ons into that, your project goes into the development and it's become a full-fledged project. Not all projects are getting such type of luck, but simple thing is that this is the new trend in the software engineering. Another trend in software engineering says that a software should have to be made open source instead of making it a closed source. Even the Microsoft, which once upon a time used to be completely proprietary, is giving many of its softwares nowadays open source. Okay, for example, if you go with the Visual Studio Code, the editor given by the Microsoft for PHP, web programming, and other for the language edition is now free and I think open source. I don't know exactly, but maybe it's open source because it's available in the GIT Hub. Okay, so if you go through these things, you will find that there are many trends which are changing very rapidly with the things, and due to this COVID and other situation, now almost the entire world is online. Entire world, almost every education system is online, and now almost all the governments of the world decided to keep these things online. So maybe in future you will find it very difficult to have the what you can say uh, the turning back to the offline. So maybe next near future you will get almost everything online, almost everything. I'm not saying all, because there are certain things that you can't get online. For example, still we can't send the pizza, or we can send a vada pav, or we can send even a onion as attachment to the email. So few things will remain offline, but certain things which can be made. For example, let's say suppose this the thing. Uh, in software engineering, many of the softwares are now cloud based. Okay, so you don't require to download anything. You simply have to enter into the cloud, do your work, save it at the local level or save it at the remote level. That is something. So these things are, now what are the advanced topics of the software engineering? First, the almost all the advanced topic of software engineering are based on three principal technologies. First principal technology called as the data science. So almost all the recent applications are data centric. Second is called as machine learning, and third is called as the artificial intelligence. So almost all the advanced topics are based on these. Now the remaining topics are based on pervasive computing and intrinsic human computer interaction, which includes IoT, Internet of Things, all type of realities, that is augmented, virtual, this and that, okay, on the computer science and their application. So if you go through this, you can say that advanced topics are too advanced we consider as so can be measured by the historical measurement techniques and something. Parallel computing is there in the software engineering, so parallel softwares are used, designed and developed by this. Project management automation is there, so many of the project management tasks nowadays are not done by the human but just by either the machine or by some software itself. So using the chatbot, you may have the other bots also, the software robots. Okay, so this is about your unit number 6. This is what we learn in the unit number 6 and unit number 5. So with this, I can say that the revision of software engineering and project management syllabus is completed. If you are having any questions, any queries, or if you really want to express yourself, you can express your views on the software engineering and project management just by unmuting yourself. I can unmute all. You want to say something? You can say something. Any one of.
Yes, and to see them casting stones. Correct.
फिरायला अजून सोडत नाही होत तुझं.
To expect them to cheer you on.
इथं बोंबलत फिरायला तुझ्याकडे गाडी आहे. कुठं? नाही तर सुट्टीला पाठवलं. हम्म. मी गेलो शेवटी.
So, any questions, any queries, anything that you want to discuss? One thing that I would like to ask you, that is if you like the way of my teaching and the notes and whatever that I shared with you as in a discussion of the lectures, you can give me the thumbs up or you can say applause. You can give question and answer. Okay, those. So I'm stopping the sharing of the slides, and with this, what I'm saying that the software engineering and project management lecture subject is thoroughly covered by me as per my knowledge. If anything is left untouched in this from the subject, you can search on the internet, and if you won't find it on internet, then you can uh, uh, ask me about that particular point. Okay, for TI3 I will upload that on the Google Classroom within 1 or 2 days, and then you can on your in your leisure time give for the TI3, and that is what I say. And I will also upload one feedback on the Google Classroom for the software engineering and project management, what you learn, what you like to learn, what you like most in subject likewise. And it also want you to uh, fill that form also. Okay, so CE3 papers I'm checking. Yesterday what happened, my network gone completely down, so I was really unable to check the few papers. After completion of that paper, as soon as I complete the paper checking, I'm sending the marks to the students. So if the students who not got any marks for those CE3, don't get confused that if paper checking is on, you will get the marks right now. So, in question and answer, okay, thank you, Shruti, for giving thumbs up and so. So, now I'm closing this session. Okay, thank you very much for patiently listening me for this long period, uh, and literally speaking, I actually miss every one of you in this online session because it won't give the feel of actual classroom. Okay, मुझे तो कैसे कैसे कभी कभी ऐसा लग रहा था कि I just okay, ठीक है, maybe situation will go in a good way, and we will meet once again in a traditional way in a classroom training. Okay, instead of going through Google Classroom or through this online. So with this I am ending the training session, and I hope that you understood the subject very well. Thank you very much.